her is because we've had so many different speakers, but we haven't had a speaker like her. We're going to have some wisdom of the universe. Lots of wisdom of the universe, because she's full of wisdom of the universe. And the cosmos. And I think sometimes that when I was talking to her, that we're really not aligned with our religion right now. A lot of people are going away from their churches. And I'm one of them because I was in the same church as everybody at that table over there. And a lot of people have moved on to Sunday. They're in another thing right now. So let's welcome Laina and her truth tonight. And we can't wait to hear it. So congratulations. Thank you for coming out and speaking.
You are a trip. So much fun. So much fun. I love her big heart. So thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Graham. That was wonderful. And you talked about a lot of things, like you said, fire hose. But the main thing that I want to take out of that and expand just pretty much on one simple thing, and that is consciousness. And what is consciousness? And when you begin to recognize that consciousness is the same thing as energy, it's the same thing as intelligence, it's God, source, spirit, or whatever you want to call it, if you can get comfortable with the idea that we are divine beings having a human experience, that divine part of our beingness is that consciousness, that intelligence, that God source, that life that animates us. If we could all just get to the place that we understood that that is what makes us not only all the same, but it is what allows us to have a physical experience where we actually express differently. But that one life that we all share is shared by everything. It's what creates this air that we're breathing, and it may not look like something, but it is something. As a student of A Course in Miracles and a teacher of spiritual principles for the last 15, 16 years, one of the things that is absolutely fabulous for me about the way this came for me to share is to put it in very simple ways for people to understand. So I want to take you through a little bit of a journey, through A Course in Miracles, through life, through the Constitution, if you guys don't mind. Everybody knows that in the Constitution, we are told that God created all of us equal, endowed us with the same inalienable rights. So I don't know if you can see this, but we have God, and it created all of us equal. And in spiritual terms, this is called oneness. And we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So how do we go from consciousness, source, God, spirit? Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. It knows what it is. Sometimes I just call it Bambi for fun. If you are comfortable that everything emanates from this life source, and it created all of us equal, again, differentiated. It created us equal, and it gave us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Then what is the opposite that has been opposing that? What is opposing that which gave us this? And that's where the study of spirituality, thank you, that's where the study of spirituality to me really gets fun. Because it's very difficult to study God, source, spirit, and come to understand it. That is an experience that you have to have. You have to feel it. No amount of books in the world is going to teach you about God. What you have to learn is what is not God. So the study of what is not God is what in A Course in Miracles we call it the ego mind. And the ego is that which separates us. It tells us that there's more than one of us here, so separation. It is invested in death. It is invested in bondage. And it doesn't want us happy, it wants us to suffer. So how is it that we spend most of our lifetimes, if you believe in reincarnation, I do, if you spend lifetimes, especially in this particular lifetime that we've been in, and probably did not understand what the ego is. You probably thought ego is somebody who's inflated. But ego is nothing more than a thought system that opposes the truth of who we are. So when you begin to question your thoughts, you know, Dr. Graham was talking about your thinking, you begin to question your thoughts. As you question your thoughts, you will come to the place of realizing that you have two thought systems. Oftentimes, we refer to this as the head, and the other one, just to make it really easy to, a good visual, and this is the heart. So in Course in Miracles, we look at this as love and fear. When you begin to understand that your thoughts can go either to thoughts that are aligned with love, that we're all one, that we care about each other, we collaborate, we cooperate, we co-create, or thoughts that move towards separation, that move us towards, I don't care what happens to you as long as I win. And I don't care if I hurt you, if you're in bondage, if you can't do what you want to do as long as I win. I don't care if you suffer as long as I win. Because when you live inside of your head, you live from an idea of who you are, not from the essence of who you actually are. Let me take you through a little bit of a journey so that you can see what has happened to humanity since the beginning. Not that I was there in this physical vessel, but I know I was there because I believe that I am consciousness, which means it never dies. It was never really born to die and be complete. It is eternal life, which continues to express itself because God is not limited. It is infinite, and it expresses itself in so many beautiful ways. And the way I know about past lives, and if you want to study this by a wonderful teacher, I just drew a blank on his name. He wrote a book called Many Masters, Many Lives. Dr. Brian Weiss. Study his books because you will find out that as he took people through different past life regressions, they went through many lives, and I have been to several of my past lives and found information that helped me with this life. But let me take you through a little journey for this humanity. Every single one of us, divine beings having a human experience, enter into the world with a physical vessel, a body, to have an experience. When you end up staying on this planet for a while, you begin to worry just about yourself. We have a reptilian brain that is invested in taking care of the body, making sure that the body survives. It has a function. Over thousands and thousands of years, we became very, very focused on survival, and the ego mind grew to the point that we only knew ourselves as separate from each other, and inside of that separation from one another grows competition. From competition grows who's a winner, who's a loser, as I was talking about earlier, where I only care about me winning, not about you. Are you guys with me so far? So as time goes on, structures began to get created because those who begin to move to the places of positions of power, they make sure that they win and everybody else loses. Have you ever wondered, if God created all of us equal, how come there are kings and queens? Who was the king before the first king showed up? Did you guys ever sit in history books and question? Well, I know here's the first king in the 1400s, but who was the king before that? You can't seem to go back too far to find that there were kings and queens with Adam and Eve. I don't remember seeing anything. So how did these people become self-appointed? And they were self-appointed. So I'm going to show a very simple box. To me, this box signifies the four corners of the structures that the ego mind has created. They're also available when you align with Source, Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. But the human mind, the egoic mind that has taken control of everything that's happening right now, has primarily four pillars that I like to focus on. one of the pillars, the first pillar, I'm going to talk about religion. When we were taught that God was outside of us, we began to lose touch with God inside of us. We began to search for something more powerful that would decide if we were okay or not, if we were good or bad, kind of like Santa Claus, and they put Santa Claus and God on a cloud somewhere. And we lost our connection to the true divinity inside of us once we were trained that it was outside of us. Another pillar is the pillar of education. The pillar where we are taught that our intelligence comes from the outside, that we need degrees, that we need to go to other people to let us know how intelligent we are, puts us on this process from the time that we're itty bitty, 2, 3 years old. They start kids so much earlier now, to basically block the real intelligence that is coming from them and begin to suppress it with information that makes them good corporate workers. This has been going on for a very long time, so our education system is not about really helping us learn more about who we are in the environment and about God, but it is about turning us into good, compliant little workers. The other system that we have to look at, well, government. Government, self-appointed people who began to tell us what is okay and not okay. Even though our founding fathers were really clear that they were leaving in a world where religion, education, very oppressive, and came to this country, founded this country, risked their lives to come to this country because they heard from consciousness that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with the same inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Jesus told us the same thing. Buddha basically told us the same thing. Lots of brilliant people told us the same thing. This has been going on for a very long time, but we are a little bit hard of hearing. We just don't quite get this information until now. We got really, really lucky in this incarnation. We are the ones who get to observe the insanity that's going on this planet, and for medicine. So we have a medical system that has moved from plant-based, from holistic things. This is the way that this country operated when it came to medicine a very long time ago. But when you begin to have the level of corruption that we have, egotistical, it's all about me, winners and losers. And if you get into the club in the government that allows you to move to the positions of winning, and you are in control of the money, because by the way, all of this runs on money. I am not a real religious person, so I don't really know the Bible very well, even though I grew up Catholic. We never had a Bible. I don't know, for whatever, Catholics don't have Bibles, at least not where I was. But if there's one thing I remember about the Bible, it's a statement in the Old Testament. It's there many times. You cannot have two masters. You will either worship God or you will worship money. Well, when our ego mind begins to get programmed with I am special, I am a king, I am better than you, I am your boss, I'm the head of the company, I am the CEO, I'm the this, I'm the that, and you now are in charge of creating policies, you're in charge of communicating with these other groups. Well, we've heard this. When you begin to love money and power, you don't care about what God created. And when you don't care about what God created, it's okay, even if they go to their death. So when you have a medical system that systematically, if you go back and you study the formation of the medical in the US, when the Rockefellers took over, how many of you know about when the Rockefellers took over? And the medical system, little by little, began to be about money and not about well-being. Are you guys aware of that? Yes. So what do we have right now? Perfect storm. So if we look at it this way, we are now at a point in time when we really are witnessing something miraculous. If you are aligned with God, and you know that your life is eternal, which means you're no longer afraid of what happens to your body, you claim your liberty because it's God-given to you, and you recognize that you cannot be in bondage to anybody else when you are in alignment with God, your happiness is guaranteed because your joy emanates from your knowing the truth of who you are. But here's the beautiful thing. The only way to exercise this and feel the happy is if you know that it's the same for everybody else. You cannot be on this planet and want a liberty for you that you don't grant to another. So something that I would like to offer to you is the medical system right now is what is being used as part of these pillars. We have been completely robbed of our connection to God, completely. Now, please don't sit here and blame anybody else. You incarnated by choice. Once you realize that you incarnated by choice, you're going to be claiming more of your liberty. Because when your freedom comes from choosing to be here at this time, and you begin to see the importance of you realizing that you connecting to God is what's going to help you find the voice that is necessary to break through the chains of these systems. Understand that your education didn't teach you how to be intelligent. If anything, it might have blocked some of that intelligence, especially emotional intelligence. If you understand that this government is only this powerful because we were complicit by sitting around, being so busy, doing what we were educated to do, working corporate America, making a lot of money, so busy acquiring, accumulating, and being too exhausted to pay attention to what's happening in our government, and you take responsibility for that, you will feel more empowered. And when you feel more empowered and you begin to see what has happened in the medical system, and you begin to study things, and you pay attention to those who have been showing us how we have been systematically poisoned. And I know that that's really hard for people to hear. But when you look at the water, when you look at the soil, when you look at the air, when you look at the food, and when you look at what medicine does, how many of you have taken a pill and cured yourselves? How many have taken a shot and have been cured? If it's not one and done, something's wrong.
That shot of tequila works.
Yes, let's not talk about tequila. I got some stories. So if we are not cured by the medical establishment, something is off. Now, I'm not saying that there are not a lot of good things about the medical establishment. I go to the dentist. If I break an arm, I'm going to go have them take care of that. But those are kinds of things that are really one and done, what they're really good at. Right now, the medical world is coming after us. And what is so crazy about this is that when you think about the ego mind that is selfish and greedy and it's all about money and power, what do you think is going to happen when they get rid of most of the population? Does that not tell you that the math is off? So I want you to begin to think about this. If you decide to own the truth of who you are, endowed by the Creator with the same inalienable rights, and you begin to see everybody as your brother and sister, I call it Christ consciousness. You can call it Buddha nature. If you begin to see everybody as a brother and sister that came into a system, that got stuck inside of a really crazy system, that disconnected us from the truth of who we are, and we begin to look at each other with more compassion, we will stop doing what the system really has taught us to do, which is to divide us into different groups. We have been divided and subdivided and more divided, and we have been totally and completely gotten to the place that you don't even know what side you stand on. I would like to invite you to begin to align with your divinity. And you will align with your divinity when you begin to look at everybody else, whether they are vaxxers or anti. Personally, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I am a pro-immunity, personal immunity person. Maskers or anti-maskers. This or that, Republican or Democrat. If we begin to stop looking at each other as this color or that color, that religion or that religion, we will actually completely collapse what has been done to us, which is to divide us and make some of us so busy chasing money, some of us so busy sick, so that we can't even participate in family functions because we're so sick, we're not capable of being part of the system. Or you're so focused on religion and so afraid God is going to punish you for whatever it is that you did, or busy trying to figure out what the government is doing to you. We have been so divided into so many different fragments. But here's the cool thing. The light wins, God wins. And if you really truly believe, like a lot of patriots believe, that we're in the middle of something biblical. And I never would have said I'm in the middle of something biblical. Again, I don't read the Bible. But I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in every ounce of my beingness. That the creative source of all that is animating these physical vessels, these body vessels. Bodies, you want to call them that. Animating these bodies to do one of two things. To either get on the side of the light or to continue to feed the darkness. We can't stop those who are going to be too afraid and are going to stay on the side of the darkness, because when you're afraid, you want somebody to take care of you. And they're going to be more than happy to do that. But when you align with something inside of you that tells you that you are worthy to have your choice be heard, not only because our Constitution says so, but because our Creator created us that way. Our founding fathers, thank you. Our founding fathers only wrote into the Constitution that which is true, so that our government would protect that for the people. And when the government doesn't do that, it is up to the people to just get rid of that government, to change it. And too many of us are walking around afraid of our government because we've been part of this, we've been socialized into this system, and we don't remember how powerful and mighty we really are. But when we come together and we begin to talk about what is important to us, we begin to see that we all want the same thing deep down inside. So there's one thing that I leave you with tonight, and I don't know how much more time do I have?
You have 4 minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes, wonderful. That's all I need. If I leave you with one thing, what I want to leave you with is the commitment to stop looking at people as anti-this or pro-that, or this side or that side, this color, that animal, that rhino, whatever, all these different animals. Poor little animals, you know, what we've done to them. And begin to connect with your brothers and sisters and begin to honor their life matters. Begin to recognize that they too were created free. Most of them are in bondage because they're listening to voices in their head that tell them that who they are is not okay, that who they are needs to be beholden to somebody else. They all want to be happy, just as you, just as me. We will change what is happening if we unite and come together and begin to stand side by side. I do not want to be vaxxed, but I don't care if somebody else wants to be vaxxed. I don't want to put on a mask, but I don't mind if somebody wants to put on a mask. But here's what's not okay. If I decide that you should do it my way, or you should decide that I should do it your way. Because when we go to those places, when we attempt to tell another what to do, we are playing God, and that is the ego. Have you ever seen the words ego, E-G-O, edging God out? I don't know about you, but I've come to know God, and I feel God in my beingness all the time, and I'm not about to edge out the one thing that makes me feel totally and completely alive, because I know that the life that is inside of me was designed to be free and to be happy. And for me to experience that, I must see that in every single other person. Our government deliberately does not want us to know that. That's why they put Santa and God outside of us. Our work is to awaken that inside of us, and the Course in Miracles teaches, which is so beautiful. The Course in Miracles says God gave us life. We have free will, liberty, and our purpose is to be happy. When I saw that the Course in Miracles said that, and then we began to go into all the stuff that we're going into now, and I started paying attention to the Constitution, I went, oh my gosh, truth is truth is truth. What did Jesus tell us 2,000 years ago? Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Same thing. Why would you love? Because it's what feels good and it's what makes us happy. Thank you so much for letting me come here tonight. Patty, thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're gonna be up here. Okay, questions? Anybody have any questions for Laina?